Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Builder Dad shop. I am Builder Dad Dan, and this is my shop. Now, today I want to talk to you about something that when I first made my transition from hobby woodworking to business woodworking 5 years ago, I didn't really think through that well. And it's the topic of how do I pack my products for shipping? And so in my case, I started off with shoe racks. And so I had this thought of what I was going to make. And one of the first customers that actually bought my product was located in Baltimore, and his name was Tony. And Tony had this great idea of modifying dimensions and changing the shoe rack a little bit, to the point where if you look at my shoe racks now, they've all got this unique blend of woods. And that's actually Tony's idea that helped me. And so I've named that the Scott style of shoe racks. And so Tony helped me change the way I was doing stuff. But in doing so, the dimensions changed. And I wasn't quite sure if the dimensions were going to stay that way or if they were going to stay with where I thought. And so my first problem was shipping and boxes. And what do I do about that? And so the first one that I sent off to him, I was really excited about it. Here, this beautiful shoe rack that I made, and I'm pumped about it. And I'm excited, but then it gets to the shipping point and it gets to the boxing, and I'm like, what do I do? And so naively, I thought, hey, I'm gonna make my own box. And I'll tell you what, that thing was a bit of a Frankenstein. I had, I think, 4 different boxes put together, taped everywhere. The shoe rack was just bubble wrapped inside there, and I was trying my best to make sure that I had enough cushion in it. And you know what? It shipped, and it made it there. But it took a little bit of damage along the way. And luckily for me, Tony liked what I did, and he liked where we were going with it. And so he ordered another one. And I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna do this next one better. And so I tried the same process again. But this time, man, that was an ego drop on my part, because it broke. It got destroyed in shipping. The leg was actually broken off. And here I am, all devastated about trying to figure out, okay, well, I've got to remake this entire shoe rack now. What do I do, and how do I get it there in a manner that's going to be safe and it's not going to be damaged again? And this is where I started looking around. I looked at Home Depot, I looked at U-Haul, I looked at all the places locally where I could think I could buy a box. And of course, I couldn't find what I was looking for at Home Depot or U-Haul. I could find some cardboard to try to make a box again, but that already didn't work out. And so I looked at bigger box companies around me, and they wanted to make the box for me, but they wanted to sell me 100 units of it. And so if you look around, this is my shop. It's not that big. I don't have a lot of room for finished goods inventory, raw material inventory. And so I'm working in a small space with confined space restrictions on what I can store. And so I didn't want 100 units of a box. I wasn't sure if I was going to sell that size again. And so I needed somebody who could help me with custom. And this is where I found, searching, a box manufacturer in Iowa, custom made boxes. And I messaged them, reached out and said, hey, I'm interested in this specific size box. Can you help me with what should that box look like and how should I pack it better to survive? And that's where I ran into Kim. Kim was the sales rep for me, and I've done business with them for a while now, and I really like Kim. So first off, I'm not sponsored by anybody. This is just me as a fan of custom-made boxes telling you about them and why I use them. And so in my case, I had this nice long conversation with Kim and said, hey, look, this is the product size I'm shipping. I don't want it to be damaged. What should I do differently? And she gave me the idea of giving myself more room within the box, a few inches on each side of the dimensions, to kind of give myself some room to pad my shoe racks. And so I liked that. The second thing I liked was that Kim was willing to sell me one box. So instead of buying multiple boxes, 100 boxes, I could buy just one. And that's huge because today I still do that sometimes. This is an example of a box that I'm going to ship a product in that I had to call them up about a few weeks ago and say, hey, I need a box to ship this product. This is exactly the size I need. And can you give me just one? And sure enough, yeah, they can give me one. And so a few days later, the box showed up. And while it's a little bit expensive to do it that way, it's actually cheaper than holding all this extra inventory that I don't know if I'm ever going to get to. And so Kim helped me figure that out. And so now all of a sudden I had this box. I had a box that would fit the dimensions of my product. And all of a sudden I had room in there to pad it out. So moving along, I figured out the packing aspect of it. And so going away from bubble wrap, I switched up to eco-friendly packing peanuts from Uline. And so I started with this new process of where I actually take the box and I hot glue gun the flaps of the bottom together so then I can actually have a stable, solid base to build off of. And so once the box is made, I actually float the bottom of the box with packing peanuts, or fill it with packing peanuts, not too much, but just enough, a couple inches or more. And then that way I can actually float my shoe rack on top of it. And so now going a step further with that shoe rack, I actually take it and wrap it in butcher block paper. This gives the shoe rack a little bit of added protection because next I'm going to come back behind it and shrink wrap the whole thing. So now I've got the shoe rack butcher block wrapped, shrink wrapped, and so I've got a very tight, stable product now that I can actually float inside these packing peanuts, and I can actually now fill and surround entirely with packing peanuts. So my product has a few inches on every side where it's protected and it's got room. So, you know, if something happens along the shipping process and the box gets damaged or dented a little bit, I've got inches and room for that shoe rack to that box and the packing peanuts to absorb that impact and not hurt the shoe rack. And so that was a huge win for me. Now, in my case, I've now buy multiple boxes from Kim and custom made boxes, but I've done some math on it, and it's kind of surprising. While I could find a box at Uline that's 24 long by 18 wide by 36 tall, so it would fit my product and give me plenty of room, I find that it's actually cheaper to go with a custom-made box, not because the boxes are cheaper. To get 11 boxes of it as an example, with the box cost, with the shipping cost to get it to me from Iowa, I'm looking at $251.02. To do the same thing from Uline, I'm looking at $197.41 for 10 boxes. So right there, the cost per box is cheaper with Uline. But now that I've saved a little bit on size with the dimensions, because I don't need that extra dimension, I've saved a little bit on materials to pack, so less packing peanuts. And on top of it, I'm saving on shipping. And so I'll put those calculations alongside of me when I do post-processing on this, so you can see the math, because I've thought that through. But what I'm really talking about today is the process of boxing and how I didn't really think about that. I was naive in my ways in the beginning, and I Frankenstein my box. And now I've gotten to the point where I can successfully ship shoe rack after shoe rack after shoe rack. And it doesn't matter if it's the same size shoe rack or different, because I can find a box for that specific size, or I might have the same one leaving multiple times. And so I've got a little bit of inventory of it because I've got sales history to say, hey, I should carry some inventory of that size. And so that's what this video is really about. I wanted to share my insight with you. I'm going to share with you the contact information for Kim and custom made boxes in the description. And hopefully you'll find that company helpful, and it will help you sell things that you didn't think possible because you were limited on the size of what you were doing by the box. In later videos, I'll kind of walk through my process of shipping. I've evolved shipper as well. At one point I was FedEx, then I was direct to UPS, then I had a third-party shipping partner that I used, and then not too long ago I found out about Pirate Ship, and so I switched up to that, and it's actually integrated with all my stuff. So I'll talk about that in another video because there's a lot of math there. And there's also Excel that I can share with you on how to calculate boxes to know if you can actually ship something in a box or if it's going to have to go freight, because there are restrictions, especially with shipping things through UPS, which Pirate Ship is how I push them through. UPS so far has been one of the best for me in shipping products. They're very reliable and successful, more so sometimes than USPS. But for me, I really liked UPS. I liked Pirate Ship. I really like custom-made boxes and Kim. And so I just wanted to share this information with you. I wanted to put a good word out there for them, and hopefully it helps you out. So until next time, stay safe in the shop, keep woodworking, and have fun. So I'll talk to you later, and have a good one. Bye.